When we think about trees in cities, we tend to think of aesthetics. Shade on a hot day, a splash of green against gray concrete, maybe a bench underneath for reading or scrolling. But increasingly, scientists and urban planners are realizing that trees aren't just landscaping. They're neurological insurance policies. Because while city air continues to load our brains with microscopic toxins, urban trees and green infrastructure may be quietly, and quite literally, saving our minds. The evidence is mounting. Green spaces in cities aren't just nice. They're necessary. Urban vegetation, especially trees, plays a surprisingly potent role in reducing the cognitive damage caused by air pollution. It's not just about making cities prettier or improving mood, though those are real benefits too. It's about buffering the neurological impact of traffic fumes, fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, and nitrogen dioxide and O2, the very pollutants now linked to cognitive decline, dementia, anxiety, depression, and decreased mental performance. Here's how it works. Trees, especially those with dense canopies and large surface areas, act as natural filters. Their leaves capture airborne particles, particularly PM 2.5, trapping them before they reach street level or enter homes. They also reduce NO2 concentrations by absorbing gases through tiny pores in their leaves, stomata. One study found that a single mature tree can remove up to 48 pounds of pollution annually. Multiply that across a park or green corridor, and you've got a significant drop in local air toxicity, particularly near roads and high traffic zones. And those drops matter. Even small decreases in ambient pollution levels are associated with meaningful improvements in cognitive performance. A study in Toronto found that people living on leafier blocks had higher cognitive test scores and better self-reported mental health, even after controlling for income and education. Another European study found that elderly residents in green neighborhoods had a significantly lower risk of developing dementia, likely due to reduced exposure to neurotoxic air pollutants. But the benefits aren't just passive. Green spaces also encourage physical activity and social interaction, both of which independently protect brain health. They reduce urban heat, which worsens pollution, dampen noise, which also contributes to cognitive decline, and lower stress hormones. The net effect? Trees don't just clean the air, they create environments where the brain is under less assault from all angles. They're like multi-tool public health guardians, part air filter, part tranquilizer, part cognitive therapy. Urban planning studies are now confirming what common sense already suggested. Cities with better integrated green infrastructure, parks, green roofs, street trees, buffer zones, show lower rates of pollution-related illness across the board, including neurological disorders. When vegetation is strategically placed along busy roads or around schools, it can significantly lower children's exposure to pollutants during critical stages of brain development. One study showed that kids attending schools with more green space performed better on tests of working memory and attention, a boost many believe is directly tied to cleaner, quieter air. The tragedy, of course, is that access to this kind of green protection is wildly unequal. Low-income communities, especially in older urban cores, often lack trees and parks. They're more likely to be surrounded by roads, parking lots, and industrial sites, the exact opposite of a neuroprotective environment. The result? These neighborhoods experience not only more pollution but less buffering, a double hit to brain health that adds yet another layer to the environmental injustice already baked into modern city life. And while personal air filters and indoor purifiers help, they can't replace what urban nature does on a broad, systemic level. Green infrastructure isn't just a feel-good bonus for cities. It's a policy lever, a way to reduce disease, lower healthcare costs, improve cognitive outcomes, and potentially delay the onset of dementia for entire populations. If we thought about trees the same way we think about vaccines or clean water, city budgets and public health strategies would look very different. Yet urban development continues to move in the wrong direction. Green spaces are paved over for condos. Tree removal is justified by parking demands. And new housing projects go up without meaningful green buffers, especially in marginalized communities. In many cases, the very infrastructure meant to house growing populations is silently increasing their neurological risk. The takeaway is both sobering and hopeful. Air pollution is damaging our brains, but we're not helpless. We have tools. We have data. We even have the technology, it's called a tree. What we lack is the urgency to scale green infrastructure, like the essential public health intervention it truly is. So the next time someone calls a tree just decorative, remember, it might be filtering toxic metal particles out of your air, lowering your blood pressure, helping your child concentrate, and quietly preserving your cognitive function one breath at a time. It's not just pretty, it's protective. And we need a lot more of it.